customer spends £40,000 with you, the work lands on time, the invoice is paid, and everyone calls it a win. 6 months later, they buy nothing else, no second phase, no referral, no useful review conversation. Now, here's the uncomfortable question. Did you win that customer, or did you simply complete one transaction? Businesses don't stop growing by accident. They stop growing because leaders miss what's really holding them back. Welcome to Why Businesses Stop Growing, the podcast for business owners, CEOs, and investors who want to build stronger, more profitable, and more valuable businesses. I'm Chris Wimshurst, commercial growth advisor and founder of Hawthorne Advisory. Each week, I'll diagnose the commercial challenges holding businesses back, share practical insights from over 25 years of leadership and commercial experience, and give clear recommendations to help you grow with confidence and build lasting business value. And today, that missing value after the first sale is where we're going. I call it the second sale gap. This is the distance between completing the first transaction and creating the next useful outcome for the customer. Another purchase, a renewal, an expansion, a referral, or simply a stronger relationship. Take that £40,000 implementation project. The team delivers it well. The final invoice goes out. Then everybody moves on. Nobody books a 90-day review. The operations director has already spotted a second problem, but your business never hears about it. That is not necessarily a delivery failure. It is an ownership failure. So let's look at why this happens, what you can do about it, and why it matters to growth and business value. Usually 3 things are happening. The target rewards the first sale. The handover loses the original context. Then, after delivery, everyone assumes somebody else owns the next conversation. The sales pipeline has stages, probabilities, and forecasts. The post-sale journey often has good intentions. People do what the system notices. If a salesperson is measured on new revenue, while nobody is measured on repeat value, the organization will keep chasing first sales. That's not a character flaw, it's the commercial design. Then the handover arrives. The person who understood the customer's problem disappears, and delivery receives a document, a deadline, and perhaps a promise that was never properly discussed. Who is calling the customer on day 30? Who checks whether the promised outcome has actually appeared? Who hears that the customer's priorities have changed? If nobody can answer quickly, you've found the gap. And delivery pressure is a very effective hiding place. The team is busy completing the work, finance is chasing the invoice, sales is filling next month's pipeline. Everyone is occupied, while the relationship sits between departments. That is how value leaks. A renewal date sits buried in a contract. A project finishes without anyone asking what comes next. A useful comment reaches an account manager, but never reaches leadership. A customer raises a concern, gets a technically correct answer, and still feels abandoned. Someone mentions your business to a colleague, but nobody asks for an introduction. Nothing explodes. That's the problem. Quiet leakage rarely gets an incident report. Some sales leaders will hear this and say, fine, but we still need a pipeline. Of course you do. I'm not arguing for less acquisition. Absolutely not. I'm arguing against using acquisition to hide preventable leakage. If your growth plan depends on replacing customers you failed to develop, you do not have a reliable growth engine. You have a leakage problem with a sales team working very hard to conceal it. So what do? Start small. Take 10 recent customers, including some who bought again and some who did not, and review the journey from the original promise to today. For each one, answer 5 questions. What did we promise? Who owns the relationship? When did the customer first receive useful value? What remains unresolved? And what is the next useful conversation? Put those answers on one page, not a beautifully designed dashboard that nobody opens, one page that people can discuss. For our £40,000 project, the answers might look like this. We promised a faster operating process. The delivery director owns implementation. Useful value appeared in the first month. The customer's managers still need support. And the next conversation is a 90-day review about embedding the change. Now imagine the review had not happened. The operations director's second problem remains invisible. Your team records the project as complete. The customer records it as useful but unfinished. 6 months later, a competitor appears with an offer to solve the next problem. Nobody stole the account overnight. Your business simply stopped being present. The most important question is not, are they satisfied? Satisfaction is a soft word, and it can hide quite a lot. Ask, what matters to this customer now? Their priorities may have changed. A project customer may need a second phase. A professional services client may need help embedding the recommendation. A manufacturer may need maintenance, training, or a different supply arrangement. A recurring revenue customer may have outgrown the package they first bought. That next conversation should not feel like an ambush. It should follow from understanding what has changed. Sometimes the answer is more work, sometimes it's a different service, sometimes it's a referral, and sometimes the answer is that you're no longer the right fit. That is still valuable. Better to know early than carry false confidence into the forecast. You also need to look at the awkward moments. When a customer is unhappy, Who hears about it? How quickly is the issue acknowledged? Can the person solving it recover trust, or must they wait for 3 approvals? Sales cannot disappear after signature. Delivery cannot say, commercial conversations aren't my job. And finance should not be the first team to discover the customer is unhappy because an invoice is overdue. 1 customer, 1 experience, 3 internal explanations is already too many. If the same complaint keeps appearing, it is no longer just a service issue. It's evidence that the operating model needs attention. And if customers go quiet, do not write, they went quiet. That's the reason they left. Quiet is a symptom. Find out what happened before the silence. Then bring a small scorecard into the leadership meeting. 5 numbers are enough to start. The percentage of customers with a named next conversation, time to first useful value, repeat revenue, expansion revenue, and the top 3 reasons for lost business. Add referral quality if referrals matter to your model. Separate customer retention from revenue retention where that distinction matters. A business can retain its customer count while losing spend. I would also ask one blunt question. Which important relationships have no owner or no next date? Those are exceptions, not administrative details. Review them weekly. Not with a recital of good news. Ask which promised outcomes are late, which review conversations are approaching, and where a customer need has been identified but not assigned. 1 owner, 1 action, 1 date, so what, right? Just get it done. Be careful though. You can pressure a team to secure renewals without improving the relationship. That produces better reported numbers for a while and a worse customer experience underneath. Look at the evidence. Customer conversations, delivery outcomes, unresolved issues, and the reasons people leave. Do not confuse a completed form with commercial control. Why does this matter? Continuity is often more profitable than constant replacement. Existing customers already know your business. Some trust has been earned. Your team understands the context. The sales cycle may be shorter, buying risk lower and delivery more predictable. Better follow-up can also reduce rework, improve proposals, and make capacity planning easier. Time kills deals, but waiting until the customer is halfway out of the door is hardly a strategy. It matters to business value as well. A company dependent on a constant stream of new customers can look impressive while carrying considerable risk. Investors and buyers will ask whether revenue is stable, whether relationships are owned, and whether customers stay because they receive value. Strong retention, credible expansion, useful referrals, and clear customer evidence make the forecast more trustworthy. That affects not only this year's result, but how the whole business is viewed. So here's the practical version. Review 10 customers. Use 5 questions. What was promised? Who owns the relationship? When did value appear? What remains unresolved? And what happens next? Then put 5 useful numbers in the leadership meeting and give every exception 1 owner, 1 action, and 1 date. Speak to the customers themselves. The truth is usually in the gap between what your team thinks happened and what the customer actually experienced. Do not wait for a perfect customer platform, a new organizational chart, or a grand program with a name that needs explaining. Find the gap close, one part of it this week, and then measure whether the customer can feel the difference. Let's pick the sweet corn out of that. The useful bits are usually sitting in plain sight, but nobody's connected them. A new customer is not proof that the commercial system is healthy. It is an invitation to create value more than once. If your business wins customers but struggles with repeat purchases, renewals, referrals, or expansion, look carefully at what happens after the first sale. Your second sale gap may be the clearest view you have of how the business really operates. Thanks for listening to Why Businesses Stop Growing. If this episode made you think differently about your business, follow the show and share it with another leader who'll find it valuable. On social media, tell me where your second sale gap appears, in the handover, the follow-up, ownership, or measurement. Until next time, understand thoroughly, assess independently, recommend clearly, and keep asking why.